Rob, what is our third main topic today?
John, our third main topic comes to us from Carter Dunn. Hey, John, I just saw that Timothée Chalamet got on Instagram and posted that they were now finished shooting the second Dune movie. This is really exciting since I completely loved the first movie and I thought it was the best film of last year. I have two questions, though. Why on earth didn't they shoot the second film back-to-back with the first one? And second, since the movie is now done, do you think they could move up the release date from November 2023, which is like 11 months away still? Thanks.
All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Carter. And yeah, it's done. The movie that won the most Academy Awards at the last Academy Awards, Dune. It didn't take top prize of Best Picture, but it won more Academy Awards at the last Oscars than any other film. It's every time I watch that movie, I am taken with it more and more.
Me too.
I still never forget my wife Ann, Ray's sister. I'd never heard. I mean, she's heard of Dune, but she's never read Dune. Never seen the original movie or the miniseries that was on Sci-Fi or anything. She knew nothing about Dune, and we went to go see it. And I remember we sat down and watched it. We didn't talk during the movie, and when the movie finished, the lights came up in theater, and I turned to her. I'm like, "What did you think?" I had no idea if she liked it or not. She goes, "This might now be my new favorite movie." I mean, like, wow. Like, and she loves this. We got big Dune posters now hanging in our house and all that kind of stuff. She loved this movie. The visuals of it, the sound design, the performances. I don't know how you make, because other people have tried taking the Tales of Arrakis and putting it up on a screen, and it ain't easy. And Rob, I remember saying at the time when the movie first came out, I don't know how you do a better manifestation of that original story than what we just saw. Like, I don't know how you do that story any better on screen, because that's a difficult task to bring to bear. And I was floored by it. I still am. Every time I watch it, I'm absolutely floored by it. I cannot wait for the second one. Now, you bring up two different questions. One, about could they, now that it's done shooting, could they actually release it a little bit sooner? And two, why didn't they shoot it back to back? Now, before we get to that, it is now official. They have wrapped it up. Timothée Chalamet jumped on social media to talk about this. Comes to us from our folks at Deadline, who wrote, production for Dune Part 2 has wrapped. According to Timothée Chalamet, the actor who plays Paul Atreides in the sci-fi film shared a photo on Instagram from a desert location along with his father, Mark Chalamet. Denis Villeneuve's Dune sequel began production in July of this year and was filmed in several locations like Budapest, Abu Dhabi, Jordan, and Italy. And that's from Deadline. And Jonathan, let's see if we can bring up that tweet. It's in the story there, halfway down the page, but or the Instagram post that that Timothée Chalamet put up. So it's a really good one. It's a picture of him with his dad. Do we have that page ready to go?
Yeah.
There it is. So there it is with him and his dad out there in the desert. I think it's great that his dad's out there with him.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. And he basically said, that's a wrap. It's done. All right. First things first. Could they move up the release date now that it's done shooting this thing? Okay. The first thing you got to remember is they're not surprised that this is when the movie wrapped shooting. They knew a year ago that December 12th was the day they would be wrapped shooting, right? And then that's when, it's not like they're, we didn't think we would be done shooting until April. Let's move up the release date. No, they set the release date and they set their shooting schedule knowing exactly when things were going to be. Also, on top of that, don't forget this. When a film wraps production, for some movies, that's the end. But for a lot of movies, that's just the beginning of post-production. And some movies are much, much bigger tasks when it comes to post-production than others. You want to do a Will Ferrell comedy? Probably not a ton of post-production, but some. You want to do Dune Part 2? There's probably a hell of a lot of post-production. Now, you can also say that probably a lot of post-production is happening while production's going on. That's true. That's absolutely true. Actually, sometimes some post-production elements are being done before they even start rolling cameras. Yeah. But there's a lot of work still to be done on this movie, and they planned that November release date very, very intentionally. So no, we're not going to see the release date move up. I mean, we might find out they move it a week or two for positioning, but it's not going to get a legitimate or substantial move forward. So expect it to come out in November still. Rob, though, on the other question they ask about why on earth did they not shoot this back to back? This is a conversation we've had several times. Again, this was a decision made under the old Warner Brothers when it was run by Jason Kilar, that They weren't going to do it. Now, look, Rob, we've said before, we understand it is a massive gamble to shoot movies back to back. Because you can say all you want, oh, everybody knows the first one's going to be a hit. How many times have we heard that said and then a movie flopped? We've heard it a lot, right? Just look at Black Adam. You could not have convinced me 6 months ago that Black Adam wouldn't at least make $600 million at the box office. Now it's not even going to crack 400, maybe get to 400. So you can think that. But with something like Dune, that is literally a story that you have to break into two pieces because of the length and the amount of money you're investing into it, I am still flabbergasted why they were not shooting these two movies concurrently and why we were not getting Dune Part 1 in 1 year and Dune Part 2 in a second year. I'm still flabbergasted by it. So as things stand, we got to wait to the end of 2023 to get this thing. But again, that had nothing to do with the current leadership of Warner Brothers. I still think it was a big mistake. We want to take a second to thank the sponsor of this video, HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. It is the most festive time of the year, and HelloFresh is here to help make the most of every moment. From holiday hosting to dinners during busy weeknights, you can count on HelloFresh to deliver fresh ingredients and seasonal recipes. Because 'tis the season for saving money wherever we can. HelloFresh is cheaper than grocery store shopping and 25% less expensive than takeout. You can use those savings for holiday gifts or treat yourself. Guys, you know, I've told you before that with Ann and I both being working professionals, finding time to prepare dinner together can be a chore, but HelloFresh has made it easy and fun for us to make our own meals, and most importantly to me, they're delicious. You will actually enjoy making dinner. So right now, go to HelloFresh.com/Campea18 and use the code Campea18 for 18 free meals plus free shipping. Once again, go to HelloFresh.com/Campea18 and use the code Campea18 for 18 free meals plus free shipping. Rob, we both understand it's a big gamble when you do it. But as you look back on it now, we both understand why they didn't, but now here we are. Do you think they should have shot this thing back to back?
100%. I do, only because the locations are pretty much the same. I mean, there are more locations. Like I'm sure we're going to go to see the Padishah Emperor. We're going to meet other characters. Christopher Walken plays the Emperor. So there's but all the stuff in the desert, you're on location, you know, and that's very expensive when you take your film crew out on location to harsh environments like that. And you would have thought that, I mean, it's not that big because you're not dealing with huge groups of people, except at the end you've got, but that's all CGI.
You know what's more expensive than shooting in the desert for 2 months? Shooting in the desert for 1 month, leaving, and then having to set everything back up again to shoot for another month.
That is exactly right. And but I get that it's still a risk. Yeah. I mean, and what I had heard is they were going to do, because the story of Paul Atreides, even though he goes on, it really is. I thought they were going to do 3 movies. I'd heard they were going to do Dune Prophet, which would be part 2, and then Dune Messiah, which is the second book, right? Which is a small book, and that would be the whole story, the rise and big fall of Paul Atreides, and that would have been what they wanted to do. I still think they might do that, but you know, I have to say, John, that I've been obsessed with this movie lately. My friend Emma Bannon, the lovely Emma Bannon, sent me a box set from England of this. I've been watching this. This film, Dune, is probably, of all the science fiction movies ever made, has its peak verisimilitude. There is not a frame of this movie that doesn't look real. I swear to God, they went to Arrakis and shot this movie. There's not one moment of this film that does not, you cannot tell that there's visual effects. And I've gone back and forth. Anywhere you look, from the sandworms to the ornithopter's blades, it's incredible.
How cool of a design was that, by the way?
Incredible. I mean, the whole thing is incredible. And you know what? Since I've set up the movie room, the sound design in this film and the score,
amazing.
It's unbelievable. Like, I sit there and crank it up. Elizabeth's like, "What are you listening to?" I'm like, and then she sat down and watched it. There's something mesmerizing about this movie. When I first saw it, I'm like, it was good. But the more I watch it, I can't stop watching this movie. I can't wait to see Dune Part 2. I can't wait to see what he does. I can't wait to hear Hans Zimmer's score. I mean, this film is incredible. And I love the fact that cooler heads prevailed. And because this movie wasn't a huge hit.
No.
It didn't make $1 billion. It made good money, but I think part of the reason is because it got the Oscars and because people love it and because it's Denis Villeneuve, they're willing to take the gamble. And they're concurrently making the HBO Max series.
Yeah.
The Sisterhood, which is happening now. And that shows the origins of the Bene Gesserit. And that's not even books that Frank Herbert wrote. His son, Brian, and Kevin J. Anderson wrote. So that's being shot in Budapest now. So that's pretty cool that they're all in on the Dune franchise.
Somebody else had written in and asked, do I think if Warner Brothers was under the current leadership, the current ownership, if they would have shot it back to back? I guarantee you they would have. Not because they had great visionary foresight, but because David Zaslav is very penny conscious. And he understands, wait a minute, we could save like $100 million if we just shoot it back to back instead of trying to shoot them two separately, because he's all about saving that money. I got a question for you though. Children of Dune, which was the second sci-fi miniseries that they did. What one was that based on?
That's based on the book. So there's because they dealt. So there's Dune, Dune Messiah, Children of Dune, God Emperor of Dune, Heretics of Dune, and Chapter House Dune.
Right.
Those are the 6 books. So Children of Dune is the 3rd book, and they dealt with some of Dune Messiah they kind of breezed over it. But I could see them doing.
Where does this sit timeline wise with Dune Prophet? Does that it happens?
Well, there's no Dune Prophet. They were going to split Dune instead of being called Part 1 and Part 2.
They were going to do Part 2 is Dune Prophet.
Yeah.
And then Messiah was the one with the Rise and Fall of Paul Atreides. Where does Children of Dune fit into that?
Children is after that.
Is after that. Okay.
So I don't know if they're going to do the 6. So what's interesting is there's only 6 original Frank Herbert Dune books, but then there's like 20 more written by his son and Kevin Anderson. Whether they're canonical or not,
up to people to decide. All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? According to Timothée Chalamet, production on Dune 2 is now wrapped. They're now in post-production, getting ready for a November release. Are you excited about this? To me, it's the tangibilization. I cannot wait to see this. Maybe you loved the first Dune. Maybe you didn't like the first Dune all that much. Maybe you're not all that excited for the second one. Whatever you guys think and however you're feeling about it, jump down into the comment section below and leave those thoughts there.